So I did promise you some Eastern as well as New Thought today. So we're going to be talking about Eckert Tolle, accepting your sadness to be happy. We will be talking about Sadhguru, and Sadhguru is someone that I have spoken about before that I love so much. And he talks about don't be upset or worried about life. We're going to start with 12 harsh truths you need to accept to lead a happy life. And that's by Brainy Dose. So Brainy Dose is a psychology website which teaches people in very basic terms, fundamentals of psychology about how to live a happy life. We will, of course, be talking about scripture. So all of this all comes back to happiness is a choice. You know, we started out the year with the intention of changing our consciousness. And there is a plaque that I have on my wall that says, the secret to having it all is knowing you already do. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the fact that we already have everything that we need, and that being happy is really, really about a conscious choice about where you put your focus. So I have a new way of waking up in the morning. I got it from Abraham Hicks, and it really has fundamentally changed the way my day goes. And I've been doing it for, I think, about a year now, way before I moved. And she teaches that when you wake up in the morning, before you even get out of bed, before you even open your eyes, to just notice where you are and feel the comfort of waking up, to feel your bed, to feel your fluffy pillow, to feel, in my case, my cat's pushed up against me, to feel the down comforter that is soft and comfortable, to wake up knowing that you are comfortable and that you are safe. And so I wake up every day, and before I even open my eyes, before I even do my whole gratitude thing, I just notice how safe and warm and comfortable I am. You know, that I'm in a place where there's heat if I need heat, and cool if I need cool, and that my body is comfortable. And I start saying thank you just for the very, very basic things. And Abraham Hicks talks a lot about being in the flow and understanding where you are, and understanding that you can go downstream or upstream. And if you want to start your day in a place where you're going downstream, meaning not having resistance and being open to all of the possibilities, the best way to do it is to just start by recognizing where you are and how comfortable and happy you are. And so that's changed me a lot. As you know, I do a morning prayer, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later on. So we're going to start with 12 hard truths you need to accept to live a happy life. This is written by Brainy Dose. And so we all want to be happy and have fulfilling lives, but few people actually attain it. Whether or not it is due to fear, to take risks, or a lack of knowledge about what they should be doing, people often overlook the things that could make a difference in their life and that could make them happier. So here are 12 truths to contribute to your future happiness. Some of these are a little abrasive, but I will say that they're very, very, very helpful. So don't be set back by how they're said. But the number one is you're not that important. And what that's all about is that we tend to bend ourselves into pretzels, being worried about what other people think about us. And so if we make a mistake, or if we fall down, or if we do something that we think is stupid, we're so worried that everybody else is laughing at us and everybody else is talking about us. We have to realize that we play a really minor role in other people's lives. The mistakes that we make are not that big a deal. They really don't matter that much. And just like we're wrapped up in our own life, so are they. So many people spend so much time being really upset about the perception that other people have of them. And so what I want to help you understand, and what this article is all about, is that you're really not that important to anybody else. If you think of all the things that you've got going on in your life, they've got that stuff going on in their lives too. And so while you may have done something that they talk about for a minute and a half, it's not something they carry with you. So the bottom line is let it go. Number two is not everyone is going to like you. Life isn't a popularity contest. Not everyone will see your true value, and not everyone will understand you. And if you make it your life's mission to get people to like you and to understand you, you're going to tie yourself into a knot. Instead of trying to prove yourself to others, ask yourself, how can you be a better version of yourself? Live your life surrounded by people who accept you and who understand you as you are, and don't try to prove yourself to anybody else. Number three, you are not defined by what you have. So money and the things that it provides do not define who you are. People form their perception of you based on your consistent actions and how you treat them personally. So while you may be really worried about whether you got the right clothes or the right car or the right house, the bottom line is people really judge you on how you treat them. It really matters a whole lot about who you are as a human being rather than the stuff that you have. Number 4 is you always have a choice. We are not victims of external forces. We have the choice. You can decide how you respond to something that happens to you. You are the only one who can determine how others treat you. So be really aware that if you're constantly walking around complaining about how people are treating you, you set that up. You have the right to set boundaries and to say what's okay and what's not okay. The truth is that how others treat you is based on what you allow. So you're going to be a lot more happy if you set really healthy boundaries and you don't allow bad behavior. Number 5, your feelings are caused by your thoughts. I was so happy to see this because all of us know this already. Anybody who studies any metaphysics at all knows that, but it's actually out there in mainstream popular psychology now. That you don't feel a way about things because of the thing, rather we feel the way we do because of our perception of that thing or that person or that situation. Number 6, if you don't learn how to be accountable to yourself, you will be held accountable by someone else. So all of your words and your decisions have consequences. If you don't hold yourself accountable, someone else will. This will help us to maintain integrity, to be better individuals, and to lead happier lives. Number 7, most people want you to do well, but they don't want you to do better than them. This is just a fact of life. The research shows it all the time that when you exceed other people's standards, they get real uncomfortable with you. They want you to do well, but they don't want you to have more money or a better house or a better husband or happier kids. It's just unfortunately the way people are. Some people genuinely want you to succeed, but be discerning of the people that you spend your time with. Ignore other people's negativity and keep walking towards your goals, whether other people like it or not. Number 8, there is no perfect time to do anything. Don't wait for the right time. Don't put off something you really, really want because you're waiting for the perfect time. Number 9, someone else always has it better or worse than you do. Don't compare yourself to others. It is counterproductive and discouraging. Always be compassionate to yourself and to others. Number 10, fear will keep you from living. It is natural to experience fear when you're doing something new. That is a response to the unknown. Approach it with excitement and curiosity instead of fear. If you don't face your fear, you're going to miss opportunities that could be available to you. Step out of your comfort zone so you can be able to have these new opportunities. Number 11, your expectations are what cause disappointment. So we talk about that all the time. It's when you set yourself up saying that you want a certain thing to go a certain way, and then that doesn't happen is when you get disappointed. Number 12, you live the life you create for yourself. Taking ownership of your life is one of the most empowering things that you can do. If you are unhappy, you are the only one who can make the necessary changes to improve it. Sooner or later, you have to have the knowledge that you are alone or responsible and capable of creating your own circumstances. The sooner you will take steps towards living the life that you want, you will be able to have the life that you desire. It's up to you. We know that it's up to you. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Sadhguru. Sadhguru is someone that you've heard me quote before, but this is going to be a lot about him. So he is an Indian spiritual leader. He is a mystic. He is the founder of the Isha Foundation in India. He is a yogi. He has written dozens of books, but the two most well-known are Inner Engineering, A Yogi's Guide to Joy, and Karma, A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny. He is also really involved in environmental work and in the forces of climate change and making people more aware of what that is doing. He spoke at the United Nations Millennial World Peace Summit, at the World Economic Forum in 2007, 2017, and 2020. He has thousands of devoted followers around the world. So he says, in your life, if you think the work you are doing is important, the first thing is you must work upon yourself. Ask yourself questions like, in this moment, how joyful are you feeling within yourself? That determines the quality of your life. 70% of the ailments that humans are suffering are self-created. In the experience of life, whatever happens to us, you can either become wise or you can become wounded. I just love that. It's that choice that you have to make. One thing that everybody who considers themselves some kind of seeker must do is to be truthful to themselves. If you can be truthful to other people, that's going to be great too. You will get all kinds of benefits from that. But the absolute number one most important thing is be truthful for yourself. With yourself, you must be 100% truthful. This is not an easy thing because we have lifetimes of habits of simply bullshitting ourselves. That's a direct quote. He says, if you are from a traditional religious background, you are really good at bullshitting yourself. I did not use those words. Those are his words, but I thought it was really interesting to know. Many people have the mindset that it's me versus the universe, that they are being in competition with the universe. And he says that is a stupid thing to do. So this is why you need yoga. Yoga does not mean twisting and turning your body. The word yoga means union. Your existence is constantly an engagement with the universe, but your mind becomes against the universe. If you create a condition in your mind where you are in conflict with the universe, you will feel crushed by all of the small things. When are you going to figure out how to handle your emotions? He says, the only problem with life is just this. Most human beings take themselves way too seriously. You've seen on the computer screen those little pop-ups? He says, you are a pop-up on the planet. You pop up for 2 seconds and then you pop out. How do you know you're not already in heaven and missing it? He says, you live in your head so much and you think yourself to be so important that you don't look around you and experience how great life actually is. Simply because you are learning to handle your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions at the time is what is getting in your way. I am constantly reminding people there is only one enemy in your life, and that's you. If you fix this one person, everything is fine with you. This is the beauty of this life, that this moment you can be whichever way you want to be. This freedom is what humanity is struggling with right now. Your life is not a tragedy because this happened or that happened. Your life is a tragedy because everything is happening and you are missing it. The sun came up in the morning, but you cannot experience it. You are breathing, you are alive, you cannot enjoy that. This is where the tragedy is. The most significant aspect of your life is that you're alive right now. Everything else is secondary and incidental. Your thoughts, your emotions have become far more important than your existential reality. You have become so enamored with your own creations that you are missing the grandeur of the Creator's creation. If you truly value the Creator and the creation, the best thing is that you live blissfully. That is the best appreciation for the Creator. Your business is to become receptive to the bounty of life, to know life in its fullest way. Stop the lies that you are creating. That is the searching part that you have, where you are searching, think the truth is behind a mountain. He says truth is not hiding anywhere. Truth is right here in front of you. Whatever there is that is in front of you is the truth. What you have made up in your head is a lie. You being a hero is your rubbish. It's got nothing to do with reality. If something as simple as breath or a heartbeat were left in your hands, you would mess it all up in a minute. He says, if you live life, you can only live it the way it is. If you could make a story up, that story that you are making up is fiction. Live life the way it is without any stories. Recognize the people around you for the best that you have seen in them. You will then kindle, nurture, and receive the best from everyone. Whatever you pay attention to will naturally grow. We talk about that all the time. Every human being that you meet, there is good inside, and there is nasty inside. Mostly, if you pay attention to the nasty, you're going to get more nasty. You will become preoccupied with that. You will receive more of that from all around you. If you pay attention to the best, at least in your mind, in your experience, good will grow. For 24 hours, he says, come to an absolute acceptance of everything. Your mental things, your emotional things, your bodily things, everything, the social things, just simply accept everything as it is. You don't have to do anything to anybody, just within yourself. That's where the change needs to be. So I'm going to move on into scripture, living in the present moment and being at peace. Psalm 16:11, you make known to me the path of life. In your presence, there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Philippians 4:11, not that I'm speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through God who strengthens me. James 1:2, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith proves steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete and lacking in nothing. Psalm 37:1, fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Isaiah 26:3, you keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts you. And Psalm 118:24, my favorite, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. All right, so we're going to move on to Eckert Tolle. So Eckert Tolle, you all know who he is already. He did a really long series on accepting your sadness to be able to be happy. And he says, be grateful for whatever your experience of this moment is. And if you cannot be grateful, at least allow it to be, because it already is. If you did this little thing, allowing your experience of this moment to be the way it is, just this little thing would remove 95% of the suffering from your life. You would remove a gigantic chunk of unhappiness in whatever form. Unhappiness is generic. The Buddha is the generic word. The Buddha actually called it suffering. He said, for the next 6 months, one of the practices is not to internally resist your experience of this moment. Many times you will forget this. When you realize you forget it, it is there again. Accept unhappiness, that it is arising in you because you forgot to accept the experience of this moment. That's when full unhappiness is arising. He says the funny thing about unhappiness is when you completely accept the unhappiness, it cannot survive. Unhappiness cannot coexist with acceptance. Say, okay, I'm unhappy. It's okay. I don't mind being unhappy. And then the unhappiness says, what's going on? That's not supposed to happen. You cannot survive very long with acceptance. Really unhappy people, so identified with unhappiness, which is the combination of certain recurring thoughts, the narrative that is not pleasant in my life, and that everything is wrong, and that there's nothing that I can do. It's about changing all those thoughts. It's about choosing what thoughts you're going to focus on. The narrative about somebody else, what they said and did, the narrative about something that hasn't happened yet, something that happened in the past, and then the emotions are a reflection of that narrative. Thoughts that have certain frequency that awakens emotional frequency because the body thinks the narrative in your mind is reality that you are experiencing. The body reacts with an emotion. So example, he says you're going to bed and you're worried about something that's going to happen to you or someone that you know. There is this crisis going on inside your head. He said it's not outside your head. The pillow and the sheets are fluffy. You have a blanket on you that's soft. There's no unhappiness there. Look around the bedroom. The plants are okay. They're not unhappy. If you got pets, they're okay. They're not unhappy. No, he said it's all happening in here. Then the body, the critical reality that you inhabit, then there is a crisis in your life. The body doesn't know the difference between what's actually happening and what's happening only in your head. The emotion goes with the narrative. There's no awareness when you're trapped in that. You don't even really know that you're unhappy. You are the unhappiness. The unhappiness has become your identity. Suffering is a huge, gigantic part of your sense of self. Sometimes people in therapy go to deal with their suffering and they come to a place where there could be a breakthrough. But the people are reluctant to change because suffering has become such a huge part of their identity. They have lived with unhappy sense of self for years, perhaps even decades. They don't know consciously that this is their identity. They have a lack of presence. They are not able to be in the present moment. They are in an unawakened state. There are still millions of humans that are trapped in that unawakened state. The moment you know and that you have awareness, there is another dimension of consciousness that has emerged in you. That is the beginning and the possibility when freedom arises. From there, when you recognize the inner states as they arise, from there, you can recognize the unhappiness and you can say, I feel the unhappiness, but the moment you become aware, you are no longer feeding it with your thoughts. When no awareness and no vicious cycles come, the narrative creates more thoughts. More emotions become trapped in your body and your mind when you have no awareness. So make it a practice to be aware of your inner state. So no matter what situation arises in your life, challenges, problems, big things, small things, whatever it is, realize that the primary factor in any situation is your inner state. No matter what it is, your primary responsibility is to be aware of what goes inside you. And that means whatever arises in your life is actually to be used in your practice so that you do not become dependent on what's going on externally in your life. Your inner state is no longer determined, perhaps a little bit, but not completely determined by outer events, people, and situations. Eckhart says the primary responsibility is to be aware of what goes on inside you, in your head. That's what I know. Here's what I know. Even the mainstream media is now acknowledging that our thoughts create our emotions. I really liked that our primary responsibility is to be aware of what goes on inside us. How I wake up in the morning sets the tone for the whole day. So I've spoken about it before, but just for those who don't know, after I'm in bed and I understand how safe and warm and comfortable I am, then when I get up out of bed, then I do two things. The first is my gratitude list, and everybody that I work with is strongly encouraged to do that. So you need to, for me, I get on my knees. You don't need to get on your knees, but you need to make yourself aware of the things in your life that you have to be grateful for. And start with the basics. Start with, we're not living in a country that is at war. Start with that we are in peace. Start with there's no bombs going off. Start with we haven't had a tsunami. Start with we haven't had an earthquake. Start with we got roofs over our head. So it's really, really important that you start your day by focusing on all of the good stuff you've got. And what I would, mine takes about 25, 30 minutes. I go through every area of my life that I'm grateful for my health, that my ears work, my eyes work, my brain works, my heart works, my lung works, go through every part of your body, go through all of the things that are good. The longer that you spend setting your day intentionally by being grateful for every little thing that is working in your life, the better off you're going to be. So that's my number one thing. The number two thing that you've heard me talk about for years now is called morning meds. So morning meds is what I put into my head while I'm making my coffee, while I'm having my breakfast, while I'm feeding my kitties. So there are a series of songs and prayers that I listen to every single day. There is a meditation that I listen to every single day. So I put my little ear pods in and I'm going, I'm doing the dishes, I'm making my coffee, I'm eating my breakfast, I'm feeding my kitties, I'm cleaning out the litter box. Those morning meds are going. And what I have found is there were times when I stopped doing them and I found myself in a depression within a matter of months. And so the morning meds are really, really important. So start with the gratitude and then do the morning meds. The morning meds can just be happy songs. It can just be songs that uplift you, that make you feel good. If there's someone, I really like Louise Hay, if there's someone you really like listening to that does a 5 or 10 minute meditation, start with that. So I call it morning meds. And I can tell you from personal experience, when I don't do it, I'm not the same person. So those are two things. So Sadhguru talked about your life is a tragedy because everything is happening and you are missing it. We are so caught up in the whirlwind of fear and anxiety and worry. If you truly value the creator and creation, the best thing that you can do is live blissfully. So both of them, both Eckhart and Sadhgurus talked about living in the moment, being present, experiencing exactly where you are. It's about living in the present moment, not in your head. So when I wake up, this beautiful little home that I've got now is just the most peaceful. There's birds there. So it turns out there's actually parrots. There are these tiny little parrots They're not big parrots, they're tiny little parrots, but there's a name for them. My friend knows it. I can't remember what it is, but they're incredible. And there's lots of them by me, lots of them. And these parrots are just chirping away, boy, and they're happy as a pig in shit. And it is just wonderful to sit there and listen to these parrots. So I sit there, I have my coffee, I listen to the parrots, I look at the parrots. My kitties are not all that happy about the parrots. They really want to go outside and play with them. But the fact is, it's just so soothing to listen to those sounds. It's about living in the present moment. And it is a gift that I give myself every morning, that I do wake up 2 hours before I got to leave for work, so that I can do my morning meditation, so I can do my gratitude list, so I can sit there and just listen to the birds chirp. It is the most wonderful thing in the world to just sit there and listen to the bird work. I really, really like coffee. And so I always have this exceptional hot cup of coffee that I really like. I do believe that breakfast is important, so I do have something to eat. And so it's just this wonderful place where I am able to relax and explore the sounds that are coming in and the tastes that are coming in. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so I love that very much. That's the gift that I give to myself. So I've trained myself to be aware, that mindfulness of all of the details of what's happening around me. This didn't happen overnight. So it's something that, you know, I've been doing for years. And I had to train myself to sit still and just listen to the birds, because obviously there's a voice in my head that says, you're going to be late for work. You should have got early. You got all these things you got to do. You got to, you know, and my to-do list is just chirping it away at me. But I have gotten so cognizant of the fact that those minutes that I give to myself to listen to the birds chirp and drink my coffee probably are the most important things that I can do. So challenge you to ask yourself, what is the story that you are telling yourself and what is the reality? So after you've trained yourself to be aware, and you can look at what's going on around you, and you can actually feel the five senses of what's going on. And so we talk about grounding yourself. So grounding yourself, being aware, living in the moment, being mindful, is using all your senses. What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you feeling? What are you... I'm missing one, but there's 5 of them. So use your 5 senses. It's really important that you use them to ground yourself and practice over and over and over what is really going on right then. As you make a practice of this, you will be aware more often of all the great, and I do mean great things that are happening right here and right now. Living in the moment, being mindful, and always practicing gratitude will dramatically shift your consciousness, which is what we decided to do in the new year. We resolved that we would change our consciousness. We will continue to talk about these shifts that we can make as we continue to explore our resolve to practice. Don't worry, be happy. And so it is. Remember, at all times, the power is in you. It always has been, and it always will be. Thanks so much.